seen, and this had been coming out in some of these earlier WikiLeaks dumps, is that this is a portrait of a staff on the Hillary Clinton side that is grappling with how to deal with what Bill Clinton has been up to, and with their own candidate who seemed to struggle at times to put these two things together and to step in and say to her husband, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You saw this in their conversation about a speech that Bill Clinton was supposed to give to Morgan Stanley right at the time when she was announcing her presidential bid, and they really had to push back. The second thing I'll say about it is right now Hillary Clinton is enjoying an enormous honeymoon period, whether it's with the press who covers her, whether it's with the polling. You know, she's really riding high. You can see it in her demeanor on the campaign trail. She's extraordinary. I mean, she went to an Adele concert in Miami the other night, you know, just a couple of weeks out from the election. I think what you're seeing in these stories and what you're seeing in this conversation that's going on is a preview of what comes next in the event that she does win this election. This is the conversation that Republicans in Washington are going to want to have over and over and over and over again. I think they're already digging into this material on Capitol Hill, you know, and I think that that does, as Ron said, pose significant challenges, and it's part of why we've been talking for so long about whether the American public is really ready to have the Clintons back in the White House.
Mark Alpern.
Steve, let me ask you, how much has the disclosures sort of unsettled people in the Clintons' orbit, and do you think it'll have an impact on her ability to recruit people into the government if she wins?
Certainly nobody in the Clinton orbit likes to read this stuff, and today's we'll see how that disseminates. But I think that once she's elected, and I think she will be elected, obviously, I think people will be excited and want to serve. I certainly agree with what Casey was saying, that, and what everybody has said, that the existence of this stuff will be an ongoing challenge for her, and stuff she has to explain, and will be something that will be part of the administration. But I think there will be a lot of excitement around it. Let me just say a couple things before Joe, so Joe can jump down my throat and
get ready.
Look at me. Can we get a close up? Can we get a close up on my face?
Look, I'm not going to.
I want to be friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And this hurts.
I know you're shocked. You're deeply saddened. I know.
What, Eddie? What were you just saying last hour about me? My biggest fault? Did I care too much? What?
I was saying exactly that, Joe.
Yeah.
So it wounds me.
Okay, Brad.
I would say just three things. One, look, we have.
I want to hear this.
I mean,
this will be good.
We certainly have an appearance problem.
Yes.
I cannot, any more than Carville did, defend the appearance of it. I'm not sure I can defend the ethics of it. I think the question of whether it was legal or not is a different question.
Right.
Not clear it was legal. But I think one thing that is interesting, I read that 11-page memo, as you probably did. I don't think Hillary Clinton's name was ever mentioned in it. In other words, I think whatever was going on with Hillary Clinton at the State Department when that memo was written, Teneo was not involved in that. This was between Teneo and the Clinton Foundation and Bill Clinton. And there has not been, as I think Mark may have said the last hour, no suggestion that Hillary Clinton did anything as Secretary of State that related back to what Teneo was doing.
So Bill Clinton,
that's not quite right. That's not quite right.
Yeah.
Well, how's that?
I don't think
we do know that Huma Aberdeen was working for both legs of the stool, and while she was working for the State Department, she was answering emails and doing favors on behalf of Doug Van's request. There's a connection there.
Yes,
not with policy changing that, but come on.
Whoa. Yes, but rightly or wrongly, for better or for worse, Huma Aberdeen was called a special government employee, and that relationship was approved by the State Department.
Yeah, by Hillary Clinton. So that we can all say that's wrong. That's not the kind of thing that should be done.
Clinton.
By her State Department. That's obviously not the kind of thing that we should be doing if we want people to have trust in our government. If you're a Democrat and you want people to have trust in government, having people being double dipping on the government is not something we should ever support.
Ron, I'm not disagreeing with you on the appearances. I'm simply stating the legalities of it. That
but I mean, let's just say, and thank you for bringing that up, Ron. The fact that she worked for Teneo and Doug Van. Well, Doug Van's writing this memo, and she's working for Hillary Clinton's State Department. Obviously, that's That's a massive problem.
But it's not a legal issue. It's a judgment issue. It was completely approved by career people at the State Department.
No, come on now.
And we're asking, we're judging
Clinton's.
whether or not she has a judgment to be president.
It was Hillary Clinton's State Department, and you know nobody in Hillary Clinton's State Department is going to say no to her.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No.
What are some examples
Chuck
of that,
Grassley
Steve?
is already investigating this. He's been on this, focused on this connection between Huma and Teneo from the beginning. It's an ongoing thing on the Hill, which I think is going to be another issue on November 9th.
Yeah, I agree with that. I certainly agree with that. She's going to have to face significant continued investigations into all this.
Ron Fournier.
Steve, I agree. It's not a legal thing. It's a judgment thing. And guess what? Americans have to decide in a couple weeks whether or not she has a judgment to be president. That's why this is a problem. And this is a part of a bigger issue. Republicans should have held Donald Trump and the rest of the Republican field more to account for their wrongdoing. And Democrats should have been the ones last February who were standing up and saying, Secretary Clinton, if you want to be the nominee of our party, you've got to be better than Republicans.
Steve,
I know you did this because you didn't want Republicans coming after you, but what you did was wrong. So get that server in the hands of the State Department IG, and let's end this now. If the Democratic Party leadership had insisted on that happening 2 years ago, we would not be having this conversation. We've got to start holding our party leaders more accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Steve, what's an example of a State Department career official standing up to Hillary Clinton and doing something that she didn't want done on any of these issues?
Well, we don't know, Mark, because all this stuff is done privately. There may have been many things that she asked for people to be approved to do that they said, and we don't know the answer to that question. We just know that this was approved. But let me just say one other thing. We have not yet seen anything in all this stuff that clearly indicates illegal behavior. But to Joe's point about who's trusted more, Trump or Hillary, what we do know is that Trump engaged in what is absolutely illegal tax evasion with respect to his foundation, in that he performed services for people in return for donations directly into that foundation. And that is illegal.
Mark Halpern.
I mean, you say we don't know of any examples, but and as Ron said, it's not necessarily about illegality. It's a question about judgment and the complexities all this have caused. I just think you go back to, for what you said, that, well, the State Department said this was okay, so it was all okay. And as Casey said, there's a reason why Chuck Grassley is investigating this. It's an unorthodox set of circumstances, and I don't know of any cases in which the State Department said, what you guys are doing is pushing the envelope too far, you really need to change it. Maybe there are, but to say this was approved by the State Department, I think assumes that the State Department was doing this on behalf of the public interest as opposed to the Clintons' interest.
Well, we will find out the answer to that question. I didn't say it was okay. I said it was legal. And I will tell you, having served in the Treasury Department, where we had similar internal compliance people, they operated completely independently of the Secretary. They were career people who made their own decisions. And we'll find out the truth here when Grassley gets done.
This all goes back to the server.
And it goes back, I mean, remember, in the primary, I argued on this show that the primary was an argument over the soul, a battle over the soul of the Democratic Party. Yeah. And there was an argument being made from those of us on the left, from those who were supporting Bernie Sanders, that this question would ultimately arise, right? That there was a question around the moral and ethical judgment of the Clintons. There was a body of evidence out there that suggested that, something like this would immediately show up. And so a large number of millennials and other folks who were pressing the case. And some of us are still skeptical. And now we find ourselves in this moment. And what we do know, and this is really important to say, is that there is no evidence of quid pro quo. There's no evidence of quid pro quo. But what we see here, and I've said it before, is a moral and ethical deficit. And what does that say about where we are as a country? What does it say about our politics?
And here we are. Today is October 27th, 2016, and we're just getting this information out today. What are we going to learn tomorrow? What are we going to learn next week? And the Clintons always go, oh, we've been so investigated. There's a vast right-wing conspiracy, and they keep doing stuff that crosses the line. They keep doing stuff that requires investigation, and then they are shocked that they're being investigated. And it's poor, poor, pitiful me, in the words of Linda Ronstadt. Why is everybody always picking on me? It's because they just can't help themselves, and that is why Bernie supporters and, like you said, other Democrats just have Clinton fatigue. And now the whole country signs up for it, Willie, for another 4 years.
Let me add one more depressing note to this conversation.
Oh, good.
At 7:22 on a Thursday morning. Jason Chaffetz, who leads the House Oversight Committee, said yesterday that the Clinton administration, should she win, is a target-rich environment. He says we've already got 2 years of material lined up for investigations, including 4 years of her as Secretary of State.
Why would we?
So they're sort of preparing the country for 4 to 8 more years of exactly what we're talking about
and
here.
to my point, Joe, Jason Chaffetz is also saying he's going to vote for Donald Trump, but he's not going to endorse him. We have to hold